does Project 2025's secret plan include moving beyond Trump's shadow? This is an op-ed that I published today over at HartmannReport.com, and I make two major points in it. The first is that Donald Trump is right now doing The Apprentice. This is what he was trained to do. He had 14 seasons, over 300 episodes, and in each one of those episodes, it wasn't Trump who decided would be the winner. You know, it never was Trump. It was always the producers, and the writers, and they would determine, you know, who has the best Q factor on television, who's going to draw the most eyeballs, who's the most sympathetic, or in some cases the anti-hero, the least sympathetic character. You'll recall Amorosa played that role on more than one program. And then they would tell Donald Trump, okay, this is the person that you're going to pick as the winner of today's Celebrity Apprentice thing. So I'm suggesting that the same thing is happening in the vice presidential race. That Donald Trump isn't going to pick the vice presidential candidate. That he's doing The Apprentice right now. He's come on out and audition and kiss my butt and all that kind of stuff. And he's loving it, of course, just like he did when he was on television. He's just that's the one thing he knows how to do well. Right, is how to pretend to be a successful businessman on television. And of course, it's because NBC spent millions of dollars training him. I mean, he got really good at it after 14 years. So, point one, the billionaire oligarchs who own the GOP, they're going to decide who's going to be the vice president because they know that Donald Trump is elderly, obese, and losing it. And so, they're going to put somebody in who is basically completely lacking in scruples or morality. Somebody who is smart, who has a good education, like an Ivy League college, and somebody who's quite wealthy, somebody who's very disciplined, and somebody who already has received the backing of at least one and ideally multiple billionaires. And who fits that description best? J.D. Vance. I'm betting just about anything J.D. Vance is going to be the vice presidential nominee. I mean, we'll see. But he's doing everything he can to tell the billionaires that he'll do what they want. Which raises the second question, which is, what is it that the billionaires want? Right? What is it that they want out of their presidential candidate? And this is where we get to the Project 2025 agenda. Project 2025 is the list of things that basically Donald Trump, if he becomes president, or in all probability they'll cut a deal with him. They'll basically say to him, you get to play president, but we're going to call the shots. And your vice president is actually going to do the hard work of governing. He'll do it in the background. You can still be the star, but keep your mouth shut, generally speaking. If Trump starts to wander from that, or if he starts getting really weird, then they're going to pull the cabinet together and kick him out with the 25th Amendment. They discussed that several times in 2019 and 2020. And I think this time they would do it. So what are the goals of Project 2025? Well, I put together a whole list of the kind of top line goals. There's literally hundreds of them, so it's kind of hard to quantify them all, but these are the ones that I think are the most important. They want to replace the entire federal bureaucracy. And, right now you've got around 50,000, I guess it's around 2 million U.S. workers, but about 50,000 of them are at the very top levels of the federal bureaucracy. And they all have civil service protection. Now, the reason for that was back in 1883, or back in 1881, I guess it was, there was a president of the United States, and forgive me, I'm forgetting which one it was, probably because he had a short-lived presidency. A fellow came into his office and wrote a speech for him and expected to get hired as a speechwriter, because that was the spoils system back then. You did things for the president, and the president in turn gave you a job in his administration. And apologies for the noise. We live on the Columbia River here, and it's the glide path for the airport, and they're flying F-16s. So anyhow, that it was the old spoil system, and the spoil system was just insanely corrupt. And when this guy didn't get the job, he came back and shot and killed the president. And that led to, in 1883, the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, which said that now the president doesn't just give people jobs. So you can't, shoot him if you don't get the job you want anymore. Instead, there's now this permanent federal bureaucracy, and these people have job security, so they last from administration to administration. Well, Project 2025, number one, they want to get rid of that and return to that insanely corrupt spoil system that I was telling you about. Number two, they want to eliminate the job protections for those people. Number three, they want to dismantle the Department of Education, and this is part of their plan to destroy our public school system nationwide and replace it with private, segregated, racially segregated, often religious academies for the white upper middle class. And lower class kids economically and kids of color. We're going to change the child labor laws so you can just go to work when you're 13 years old. They want to slash funding for the Department of Justice and dismantle the FBI. They will probably be replaced by a new police agency that is directly reporting to and thus loyal to the president himself, as Ron DeSantis has done in Florida and Greg Abbott has done in Texas, with these Schutzstaffel, SS-style police departments that they've created. They want to abolish the Federal Reserve. And this would take us back pre-1913, where the economy of the United States, and right down to the value of the dollar, was largely determined by the wealthiest men in America, not by the federal government. They want to bring back the Comstock Act, or start enforcing it again, criminalizing pornography, abortion, mifepristone, and most forms of birth control, putting women under the direct control of the state. They want to remove all legal protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity, returning us to the days when queer people were routinely discriminated against, harassed, and even murdered. They want to terminate all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to lock into place the current white wealth and political power hierarchy. They want to cut funding for renewable energy research and drill baby drill so that the billionaires, the fossil fuel billionaires who own the GOP, can make more billions. They want to put work requirements on SNAP. They want to extend Trump's tax cuts, which will cost us another $4 trillion. They want to require a 3/5 supermajority in Congress to raise taxes, so it'll be impossible to ever, for billionaires to ever pay anything more than the 3.4% income tax that they currently pay. And it goes on from there. I mean, you can read the whole list over at HartmannReport.com. It's pretty shocking. But that's what they're up to. And Trump is their stooge.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So who do you think he or they are going to pick for vice president? This is going to be an interesting one. I'll be right back about Louisiana and obliterating the separation of church and state.